Welcome back to House of Valkyries. I'm your host, Carly Raymer, and I'm joined today by Elaine Geni. Elaine has been with Valkyries in many different ways, facets, for a long time. Um, I'm aware that I just skipped through our podcast intro, so let me do that, and then I'll circle back to you. House of Valkyries, which is home of Valkyries, Valkyries 6, that starts in a week and a day. And we work all things energetics, embodiment, emotional mastery, and practical magic for trailblazing, soul missioned women. Okay. Elaine has been. Elaine is returning to Valkyries 6 and was in Valkyries 2. Is that right?
It seems like forever ago. I don't feel like we've had that big of a gap that there's been four other cohorts, but maybe.
Yeah, it's wild. Well, there is a thing that happened to Valkyries 5, uh, where Valkyries 5 was going to be in person in Boulder, and then she told me that like the timeline was wrong, and she's like, "No, we're not doing it yet." And so I was launching it, and I actually pulled it back because it was just incorrect.
Yeah.
But I was also launching Valkyrie 6 at the same time. And
Mhm.
so I just stuck with the name as to not be confusing.
Which is totally fair. Yes.
Which I don't know which one is more confusing, but 5 is like quantumly coming after 6.
Which is cool. We
Yeah.
get to count however we want to count.
Yeah, right. So, okay. Yeah, Valkyries 2, which was 2021, 2022.
Must have been 2022. So yeah, 2 years. When was the first Valkyries retreat?
Mm, 2 summers ago. Not
Okay,
this summer,
yeah.
but last, yeah.
And so that was like initially part of Valkyries 3 or 4.
3.
Okay, yeah. So then it
Yeah.
was 2.
Yeah. Wild. Amazing.
Oh, yeah, it has been wild and amazing. But you and I have been together for a long time since
Yeah.
then and before
Yeah.
then, I'm sure. So,
hmm Yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
Hmm.
So Elaine's journey timeline with Valkyries is has been a little bit different than the women that we have had on podcast so far. And so I'm really excited to see where the heart of this podcast wants to take us, as it's just a little bit different. Um, and I'm curious about the time for you before, like, let's just say early 2022,
Mhm.
2021. That's like just post COVID. Like, what was happening for Elaine then that was Valkyries arrived and you were like, yep.
That's a great question. And because I think like energetics have always been something that I've been like doing in terms of whether that has been like Reiki or other types of energetics. And then um, our paths crossed in like more of an embodiment, kind of like somatic type setting. And it was like, holy shit, this is like the missing piece to the energetic components that I've been like looking for. So I think, you know, 2021 Elaine had a lot of like the tools and a lot of the skills and like the wherewithal of like this is energy and this is the different energies and whether we talk like masculine or feminine and like sacred energetics, but there wasn't a way for me in my past to pull that into my body. And so to me that's where Valkyries came in, to like expand that body of me
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to hold the energy differently for myself and for clients and for all of those pieces. That that's where it dropped in, and it was just, yeah, bringing in the body. I think for me, bringing in the body.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. That's really similar to how it came through me also. I had I had I think all of the women that are called the Valkyries probably have some deep history with knowing energy.
Yes.
Like we're even as kids, like we're energy aware of our own, of specifically nature, like being outside and being informed by nature, talking to plants, finding yourself in the forest, and then definitely as adults. So the embodiment piece was the missing piece for me as well. And like when
Yeah.
that hit, I was like, oh, ooh.
I was kind of reflecting even earlier this morning, kind of getting ready for this and thinking of the different ways that things have shifted. And I think when we talk about the body, before EU, like I was very stiff, like very rigid, um, very, yeah, very stiff, very rigid. Like there is no gray, there is no movement in the body. It's just very like a pole up you know where, frankly, where I think Valkyries and bringing the body into so many of these energetic components, like I move differently. My body moves differently, and I can move energy through my body with so much more ease and grace than I could before. It's not just like a solid rod.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, so like those things, um, I've really noticed just how my body moves differently. Yes.
Mhm. Mhm. What's different or what's possible because your body's moving differently?
There's not that sense of like stuckness. I'd say like you don't feel like your feet are always in the mud or you're in the swamp.
Mm-hmm.
Like your feet aren't 400 pounds with every move that you try and make, right? It's just there's a lot more ease. And I know that that's like hard to describe of like what does ease feel like? Well, like it's lighter. I'm more decisive with my moves. I know where I'm going and not feeling that like weighed down stuckness. I don't spend a whole lot of time in like overthinking. I just move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so trusting the body, because like now that she's on board, right? It's just a little bit easier to move, a lot easier to move.
Yeah. 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 I feel that. I feel that in you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like no stuckness. Yeah, no stuck, no swamp.
Yeah. Ease is a funny one. I had this moment, this was years ago. I had this moment with the both the word and the energetic of ease and easy. And I was like, I'm like back in that moment. And there I'm like, that sounds so dumb. Or it's like too, I don't know, easy's too like what was the flavor of it? I was like reorienting my relationship with ease and with easy. And for me, I was coming from a place of uh doing hard things. Like I've done hard things really well all of my life. Like there's some flavor of like if it's hard, if I take the hard route there, then I become valuable. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
worthiness in it. And I think a lot of wounded feminine uh in like proving and I can feel I like almost have my finger on the pulse and it's not quite it, but that's okay. Keep moving. Um, but ease is like it's the shit, actually. It's amazing.
Flow state?
Right.
Like,
Flow
is
state.
that like a better? It's not clunky.
Mm,
I guess like it's not clunky. It just feels expansive and easy, and maybe that's why it's hard to like land a better word of ease. But it's because it's just so easy. Like we move through life with ease. Like
mm,
not a whole lot trips us up.
totally. It's a favorite of mine now. I love ease. Like more of that.
Or that, just like ease and just like being able to flow through and like shit's gonna come up. We wouldn't be like having this human experience if we weren't gonna be exposed to like the ups and downs of it. But to be able to navigate that with regulation and ease is like wonderful.
Yeah. It's totally a code as well. Like it sounds really simple and like we this cute thing that humans do, especially in a healing or an expansive journey, is like looking for, like, we want the big thing. We want like the big, mysterious, sexy thing that is like this ancient code that people haven't uncovered until you found it. And then you're like, here's the thing, right? And so to discover and actually live the embodied truth that ease and regulation is actually that code is a little confronting to the parts of us that want the big sexy thing, but it's totally the big sexy thing.
It is absolutely right. Just not a whole lot, if you think of like Elaine before Valkyries and before this work, a lot more like high strung and just dysregulated.
Yeah.
Where now it's like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing now. And it's just really expensive to just flow through life where not a whole lot like rattles you.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Unrattled.
Yeah,
Great.
unrattled.
When I did a poor job of introducing you, so let's do that again. Elaine. Elaine is a Reiki master, Reiki teacher, my Reiki teacher, and my Reiki master, right? That's what I'm going to call you.
Perfect.
I did my Reiki masters with Elaine, um, and and also teaches energetic mastery and would you say hypnotherapy or would you call yourself a hypnotist? Like, how do you say this part?
Hypnotherapy. I would say yes, hypnotherapy. Because I think it's hypnotist. I think sometimes pulls in like stage, kind of like I'm gonna make you cluck like a chicken, versus like hypnotherapy, where we're going deep into the subconscious to rewire things in a therapeutic, clinical type sense. But they're interchangeable, really.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I agree. It has some old school connotations.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Smoke and mirrors kind of stuff. Totally. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Why do
Um,
we do these things?
did I miss anything? Anything else you want to say about?
No, I think that's perfect. Yeah, that covers it.
Cool. She's also a mom of two totally spunky girls and lives in Canada in Saskatchewan. Um, how has the work that we did in Valkyries too, how has that informed your work in the world? How has that changed?
Oh, I say like it's changed it significantly for sure. Of again, when we talk about like the codes of being ease and regulation, is certainly something that all of my clients have also like reaped the benefits of. I think like anytime that we show up and we do the work and we add like a tool to our toolbox, truly it then ends up being a gift to everyone else that comes across our path after the fact. So I'd say like overall, my whole practice has changed to incorporate more of those types of energetics before just being like an energy worker,
Mm,
right? So there's nuance there,
of course.
but I think it's also really important that um, we can just shift those things and we embody them different. I think like we are only able to serve and to help and heal and work with others at the depths that we've done the work ourselves. And so for me, adding in that piece of the body has enabled me to then help clients in that same way.
Awesome. Awesome. So you, let's see. I have a question, but I feel like we're not quite there yet. We're like still on this path. Um, Elaine, Elaine and I have had many other I'm going to say Valkyries related because everything that I do is founded in the principles that are Valkyries, but Elaine and I have had many other side quests, like Valkyrie's side quests. We've done a lot of business work together. Elaine was in an early business program of mine called Creatrix, and also in my like last year. That's crazy. Last year's 9-month business energetics container resurrection. Like I said, I traveled up to Canada to do my Reiki masters with Elaine. Um, and I'm just so grateful for you.
Me too. Yes. Oh, me too. Me too. Me too.
Yeah, I've had a blast. I've watched so much change for you. Um, there's this funny thing I have. I often in my copy and in my languaging, I want to say um, something like, uh, "You won't even recognize yourself in 6 months. Like you won't even recognize your life in 6 months." But that's not entirely true. It's like the work that we do isn't a like total flip around, uh entirely unrecognizable. It's like it becomes so much more in tune, like attuned to the frequency of you, that it looks even more familiar, but you just haven't been there before. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah. And for me, it feels sometimes like really subtle that, yes, I certainly don't recognize the old me, but this feels so much truer to like who I actually am versus like who we're trying to be, if that makes like sense,
Mm-hmm.
that we're just like unraveling all of the things that like don't serve us or aren't who we actually are.
Yeah. Yeah. So then this version that you're standing in and embodying next and next and next, because we're like always doing the unraveling and becoming and becoming and becoming, um, is is simultaneously wildly new and even more familiar. And I think it's because
Yeah.
this is like soul truth, soul self. So like we land in the new embodiment and we're like, oh, this is even more me, but so different than whatever the
Than
old world
anything else.
was.
Yeah. And I think like because it's energetics, there's like lots of nuance to it, right? Like sometimes it feels like a little bit of like I'm gonna fake it till I make it kind of approach, because the new energetic and the new version of me that hasn't like fully come through yet, like she's there and we're just trying to like, it feels a little bit clunky to like move like her and like do the things that she does when she's not fully like here yet.
Yeah.
um all while parts are like dying. Like,
Mm,
not to be like ego death or like those types of things, but there's a
sometimes.
component of
Yeah.
all of those things. And
Yeah.
I think, and I'm gonna like digress here because I think this is important, of like one of the biggest things that Valkyries and all of the work that we've done has shown me is like being able to hold empty and being able to be in the down and be okay through that like death cycle or through that down like period, and know how to get out of it or stay there, like whatever, stay there, get out of it. I've got the tools to do both and I can hold both. And that's, I think, really important, because not everything's going to be like sunshine and roses all of the time. There are going to be downs, and we have to be able to hold empty
Mm,
and
yeah.
hold that.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a really large part of Valkyries. I mean, we'll practice it all the way through. And there's this really awesome collective movement in all rounds of Valkyries where we're not all of the women are not entirely going through the same cycles at the same time, but there's definite matchup. It's really, really beautiful. And so and every single woman inside of Valkyries is going to go through some version of the down while we're in container and continue to for the rest of our lives
Mm-hmm.
because it's part of living of being part of this world. It's part of being part of this world. And and we specifically will do I want to say at least 2 months. That's like not ew. That's not fully we're not like just in the down for 2 months, but we do a
Yeah.
lot of different flavors of the down and the dark goddess and shadows and existential kink. And yeah, and how to really navigate that
Mm-hmm.
well, is that specifically is something societally that um one for me personally, I didn't even know. Like I didn't even know that that's like part of the cycle that this body is supposed to live, like as a
Mm-hmm.
body, as a woman, as a artist, as a business owner. So like one, I didn't even know that that's like on the table, and then there's no tools to navigate it. Where most of our conditioning is like keep moving, just keep moving, keep going, keep building,
Mm-hmm.
keep scaling, just uh, uh, carry on, forge on. That's the word I was looking for. Um, so yeah, all of that is integral in Valkyries and living cyclically. What has really changed there for you, or like what is the biggest medicine of being in relationship to the down for you?
Oh, yeah. I think like the secret sauce is in the down.
Totally.
Like the secret sauce is in the down, and like
Yes.
nobody like really wants to like be in the down, but when we are, it's, to me, and what's been paramount of being in the down and being able to not like outsource or to not like contract and to not stop. And so what I mean of that is like we can all have these, because of course as a business owner in a small business, like sometimes we put out something that like flops, and we have to then hold that, like either this is something that's coming through us and either our audience isn't ready or like it's not fully embodied in us or whatever it is, and it's continuing to show up, and like know that there's medicine in the offering and continuing to show up and do the work when it doesn't feel so like fancy. It's like this is a little bit of a slug. And so I think the secret sauce is there of not like spiraling into like making it about me or making it about I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not like anything enough. And it's just like, no, we just kind of hold in that secret sauce of the down. And I think that's where we find the magic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have found that God, I love the secret sauce of the down. So good. I found that like how we navigate the down, and the secret sauces that we find in the down, is what comes of our next up. So like whatever we're being with, how we're choosing to hold empty,
Mm-hmm.
and the seeds that we're cultivating while we're in a death phase is
Mm-hmm.
what then manifests when we start to move up. So the down is actually enormously informative of the next growth phase.
And I'd say the next growth phase is like proportionate to like however deep down the down is, it's equally as high on like the upswing when you get the upswing, right? Like the down has its purpose.
Yeah, totally. Oh my God, this
It's
is
like the slingshot, right? Like you have to pull back before you can go forward. You can't
Mhm.
just always keep going forward. It doesn't work like that.
Right. Yeah, and that pullback is often at least the brainy parts of us and the wounded masculine parts are going to judge that as being regressive. It's going to be like, "Oh my God, I'm regressing." But it's just the before
Yeah,
the takeoff. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow, this is great. I have heard myself say what you just said, and I also needed to hear you say that just now. I like quick background of my last 2 years. I was in a really long down. It was at least a year and a half. It was forever. It felt like forever to my human. And it was so much of like unclarity. That's an energetic
Mm-hmm.
cloudiness. I didn't have the next thing. I was the message is just like don't move, don't move, don't move. And all of my ego parts are like, I have to make money. Like I have to sell, I have to do stuff. And she's like, no. And it was really fucking challenging. And only in the last 6 weeks am I actually actually on the other side. And I'm like laughing to myself too, because how often we say something like, I'm in transition. I'm
Yeah.
I'm transforming, and how rarely we actually find ourselves landing on the other side and to be like, "Oh, I've made it. I'm here." And this is where I've landed. I'm like, "Okay, fuck yeah, like let's fucking go." You guys can feel it in my how I'm moving too. But to hear you say that like the depth of the pullback or the down is uh is equal in proportion to that next up. Like my whole body was like, fuck yeah, we're
Yeah,
fucking
right?
going.
Like,
Right.
let's go, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
think a lot of people have been like, I can resonate with that story. It's like, yeah, we've been playing around with different offerings and different energetics, and it's like, not it, not it. And it's like, that's okay. Because when it is it, it'll slap and it'll be really, really awesome.
When it's it, it's it.
Yeah.
And it's like it makes all of the other times that we like try to make it that they're just not it. So they feel not quite fulfilling and there's not a lot of energy behind them. And then when it lands, it feels so good and was like absolutely worth the wait.
Which is why we don't stop when we're in the down.
Right.
Like, as much as we don't want to be there, yeah, you could just give up. Be like, okay, well, this sucks. This isn't working. I'm done.
Or I'm gonna launch the thing anyway,
Or
or
I'm going to do the
just
thing
forge
anyways,
through it. Yeah.
right? Go all in on all of the parts.
Yeah. Hmm. Okay. Um, I feel like I have two questions at the same time, but they're probably the same question. So let's just see where this takes us. Um, I have also felt in you in probably a similar timeline, like the last 6 months, the last year and a half. Also, this like cultivating, this building, this like the next thing, the next thing. And the time is coming. I feel that in you. And there's this like, not yet, not yet. So I'm curious about this like um, next threshold, next expansion. Event horizon is the word that I want to use. That's cute and like really large. And so yeah, this next vision, mission, whether that's clear or not, this might just be a frequency chat. And
Mm-hmm.
joining Valkyries again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, where are you going? What's coming?
Ooh, what's coming? Well, and that's where I think um, this is a great question, Carl, because like there have certainly been like one, if not two, kind of programs like coming through me, and one of which we've certainly talked about in Resurrection, and that was like unapologetic era. And
Yeah.
so really stepping into that, like, can I swear on the podcast?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I don't give a fuck type energetic of just totally being, unapologetic about who it is we are and what it is we do and who we serve and what that looks like and how we move without apology. And I think that there is a lot of Valkyrie's energetics in the core of that. So that's not coming until like January ish,
Mhm.
if not later. Because I think that that's still something that's like me and just like really being unapologetic of like who I am, what I do, who I serve, and how I show up and what that looks like. That's been one really, really big theme, and that we'll see, kind of in the next year, if this fall, we'll see if she'll show up when she's ready to show up. And I've just like really gotten used to getting used to that. And the other piece, and this will go back to like one of our first one-on-ones with me, like crying on the floor as they happen, of like coming home to my body and like being okay in this version of my body. And I don't want to be like, oh, it's like self love or like those pieces, because it's not, but it's just really getting okay with the body and being in the bodies that we've been given and really finding the safety in that as well. Of
Yeah.
like, this is my body and this is my safe space. Um, and just taking really good care of her. Like, again, some Valkyries non negotiables, right? We move our body, we feed our bodies really, really well, and we look after our body. And so there'll be like some hypnotherapy type components in there, and boundaries and all of those things. So there's like two kind of things coming through. I feel like coming home will come first, but we shall see.
Yeah. Yeah. That feels true. I had chills the whole time you were talking about coming home.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of us dissociate from our bodies.
Yeah.
And so Valkyries brings us home. Other things bring us home where we're like okay to be in these like lovely bodies that we've been gifted.
Right. As they are,
As
without
they are,
contortion,
right?
without like, when I'm like this, then I'll.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I think those are like what's coming. Like, can we talk about what comes after Valkyrie?
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
Right? Like,
I do, hang on, let me, I'm not complete here, but
okay.
I do want to talk about what comes after Valkyries. Um, on the body stuff, I remember that call with you.
Hmm.
I, yeah, I remember like my own, I think we were on the phone too, weren't we? So we weren't
Yeah.
like the visuals that I have, the memory that I have of this are like my own visuals, which is one of my clairs and is like usually pretty spot on with what you're also experiencing. But yeah, I remember your little girl. I remember the mirror,
Hmm.
like yeah, and I remember how we were with her. That was so beautiful. Um, and there's this really fascinating nuance in embodiment, in being in the body and coming back to the body, creating home in the body, the language of the body, and being in love with our body. And
Hmm.
I find that there's this like subtle way that we can still bypass body shame even though we're in our bodies. It's like it's next level mastery stuff for
Hmm.
sure. And body stuff is so, it's so deep. Like there's a couple, I want to say like root chakra, um, the deepest fucking feminine wounds. And there's
Hmm.
like sex, money, the basic human needs kind of stuff and body stuff. And being in right relationship to how your body is in this very moment is imperative because it's got this like next level shame.
Hmm. But we're also taught to outsource so much of our power, right? And so it's like coming back to the awareness that, like, I don't want to be like super cliche, but like all of the answers and all of the things are within us. And that's including our body. And so we have to like have that component there.
Yeah, great. Okay, thanks for letting me complete that.
Oh, of course.
Um, okay, now take me next level. What's coming next? What's after Valkyries?
What's after Valkyries? Well, that was kind of a question back for you because I know that there's like some teachings and some cool things that like I know I'm really excited to like bring into my practice. And so like global movement of Valkyries. I know there's um 3 Canadian Valkyries. So 3 of us Canadians, give or take.
Maybe four. Yeah, Canada's been my surprise Valkyries this whole time. Like, I don't know why I get so many of you, but I fucking love it. But yeah,
Right? Yeah.
right now we have three Canadian Valkyries, you and Yannicka, and
Mm-hmm.
Elaine is back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but she's like way the fuck up north and uh coast, west, northwest.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Still Canada.
still Canada.
It's still
Yeah.
Canada. Yeah. So I think like, yeah, I'm really excited for what comes after Valkyries with like your expansion and like teaching us. And I really do think that all of us energy workers and sovereign healers and all of that are like expanding into the body and expanding all of those different components that make things really cool. I think like what you're bringing next level will be like just some really profound teachings that will help everyone. And then there'll be even more Valkyries all over.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Right?
feel it.
Yeah, I do too. All of
Yeah,
these
I
worldly
can
covens. Yeah.
worldly covens, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I can feel the ways that our work intertwine and weave together and overlap.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, the spirit of Valkyries she like has her way with us. with me, she tells me how to move with the women that are meant to be here. Um, and I particularly feel that with you and like the unfolding of our relationship and continuing to expand into the global sovereign village. And like very shortly being able to have
Hmm.
covens, Valkyrie covens communities all over the world. Um, I so Valkyries, okay, so Valkyries for me, like within my universe, um, that is now under the umbrella, the roof of the House of Valkyries. Valkyries itself is not a business course. Wink, wink. Totally is. We have zero business teachings. However, everything that Valkyries is sub builds the bones for running your soul-led and sovereign business. And without the foundations that is Valkyries, you might have strategy, you might have branding, you might have like all of the upper bones, but they're the like Valkyries is the foundation for building a soul-led movement. Um, and for me, under the House of Valkyries, I have a bigger business mentorship coming, mastermind coming, end of the year, next year as well, because my drive, my light up is women that are building shit in the world,
Hmm.
and we call that business. But yeah, what lights my body, this generator body, all the way up, is like I have a vision. I'm gonna make this, and I'm like, fuck yeah, let's fucking go. Like, how do we build that? Practical magic is a zone of genius of mine. The how-tos, how to make that happen. Um, so yeah, so Valkyries is becoming this again this foundation for the movement that you're making in the world.
Hmm.
And she's she's also doing that for other women's businesses too. So what Elaine is speaking to, and now I've like talked around, but I'm actually going to land on the thing, is that Valkyries is coming as a coaching course. So for the women that have gone through Valkyries, which is a prerequisite for doing this coaching certification course, go through Valkyries and you're like, holy shit, this shit's
Hmm.
amazing. This has changed everything for me. Other women need to have this, which is
Hmm.
exactly why I'm in business, because like that happened for me. And I was like, I can't do anything else. This is it. It
Hmm.
would be a disservice to the world if I were not teaching this. So I'm certifying the Valkyries methods and protocols, and essentially like what I'm currently teaching in Valkyries, and how to do it. I don't have a name for it yet. So far, it's Valkyries somatic alchemy, but that's like
Hmm.
all of those sound like the same word, and it's a mouthful. So hold on that.
Oh.
But yeah, either at the beginning or the end of this year, or the beginning of next year, I'll have a Valkyries specific coaching certification course so that you can go through that and then bring the material that is Valkyries through your own lens. Because I'm not, like, you guys know this, I'm all fucking soul sovereignty, like what you are here to do, not what I'm here to do, not what Elaine's here to do, or what that fucking woman over there is doing, but like what you are supposed to do in
Hmm.
this lifetime. And so bringing the foundations of Valkyries through this vessel, through your soul work, into however that's going to look for each of you.
Which I think is really cool. And even just like coming back to their part of like foundational pieces, it's like you can have all of the strategy and all of the like the copy, and you can have all of the shit. But if your energetics are off, like you're dead in the water. So to me, Valkyries is yes, that foundation, but also the energy to move.
Mm.
It's like just so profound because like we need that energy and that's what moves us.
Mm.
And
Mm.
that's what actually drives the strategy, the business, the copy, all of the other things.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's not not it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
For
Dead
lack
in the
of a
water
better word.
is the right term. Totally. Yeah. There's this really sneaky, it's like next level feminine wounding. There's like level one feminine wounding that's like pretty obvious once we see it, which we'll
Yeah.
bring through Valkyries, and we're like, whoa. And then we can shift out of it or alchemize it or whatever we need to do to it. And then there's this next level thing that happens for women uh that have done some feminine work, that have done energetics work, and there's a there's a stick, there's a stuckness that's like she stops moving is what happens. She's almost like stuck in the feminine. It's really sweet. It's really sweet. But I see this like time and time again that there's this um I'm in this really gooey like pleasure zone. Like, oh my God, the feminine when she's turned on and we're like receiving through all of the senses is amazing. And this next level thing that's like, I just have to wait here. I just wait until it comes to me. And like some of that's gonna happen, and I fucking love that
Mm-hmm.
for all of y'all. But there's a shift in I feel a lot of fire here, but really like the masculine taking action, building, creating the life that she has envisioned is like it's
Mm-hmm.
got to come from her. Otherwise, it's coming from somewhere that we've already um, learned about or envisioned or the brain. But yeah, this like cultivate all of that super juicy feminine stuff. And then the energy that I'm sitting in lately, I'm calling it my let's fucking go energy, like that.
Let's go. Let's go.
Let's fucking go.
Yeah. Oh, let's go. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think one of the other things that I think is paramount to Valkyries that's shifted is like you kind of talked a little bit about it, but level one triggers, level two triggers of like being with the feminine energetics, and it's like the witch wound and some of those like sister, like mother feminine wounding that we really get to play with and alchemize here in the sense that like we've triggered each other or we've done things or like women specifically that don't trust other women. And I think through the work that you do you get to alchemize all of that and really create that safety with like other women and letting them take care of each other and do those things that like we're not used to. It's like often we see other women as competition. And it's like, no, no, no. Through this, we get to like play out some of those things and heal all of that wounding. And I think it's just like magical. And I think back to like retreat and the first retreat because I wasn't able to make it to the second retreat and just like letting strangers, right, take care of and love other women in just like this really, really cool bonded way. And I think it's right, like what you've created with that sisterhood and being able to bring everyone together is just like magical for all of those healing purposes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Women receiving nourishment from other women
Right?
is like what word is this? It's fucking it.
Right? Yeah.
Like receiving specifically because we're so practiced at giving.
Of
women
course. Yes.
specifically are so practiced at
Yes.
giving. We give and we give. Like think about the energy that we are in all the
Mm-hmm.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Give, we outpour, we outpour. But to receive, one, that like working that muscle uh is what is fascinating. We'll say. And it's a little
Fascinating.
bit different for
Yes.
everybody that begins that the like intake of energy, especially from other of receiving compliments, gifts, and especially nourishment from other women.
Right? Yeah. So it's like just so profound, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I talked about this in my stories yesterday. It's the thing that I certainly did not think that I needed, and in fact was like actively in rejection of. I'm like, that is so not it. That is so not it. And I mean, I'm even thinking about like that version of myself listening to this part of the podcast, and I would still be like, not for me. I don't think so. And it was
Nope.
the most serving thing for me.
Right?
Yeah.
Like absolutely. Just creating the bonds and the relationships that then you get to have with all of these other women. Because I think so many of us that are like in our gifts and are doing these things feel very isolated. Like there's no one else like me, which is true, but also like not that we all feel this way. And so coming together into this group, it's like, holy shit, I can actually like bond and create relationships that are like really, really pure and profound with all of these other women. And it's just wild.
Yeah. Yeah. And really helps your work in the world, like what you're bringing through,
Mm-hmm.
actually have a fucking village. And like, I'm reminded of classic Lord of the Rings line that's like, I can't I can't carry the ring for you, but I can carry you. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, you have your own work, but doing it together is so much more profound and nourishing giving and nourishment giving and sight opening. So amazing. Yeah. Um, okay, one last thing, and then we'll close out. I I want to feel into Valkyrie's Canada, Valkyrie's Elaine, Valkyrie's Regina. What is that? What do you see there? Like, get tickled by it. What do you think? Tell us about it.
I think like absolutely it's something that is coming, will come. I think that it will likely be a joint endeavor. I can't speak for her, but I am confident that Yannicka and I, this would be something that would be potentially a joint collab.
Great. I've
Um,
been curious about that.
yeah, her and I have spoken very briefly, but it's like, yeah, like we're so close to each other. Why wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think there'll definitely be an expansion of Valkyries into Canada sometime in like 2025. That yeah, I'd love to. It would be like my greatest honor to be able to serve from your teachings. As I'm like, now I'm gonna cry, right? Because like the work that we have done has changed my life, and I'm forever grateful for you. And so to be able to bring that magic and medicine through me and serve others, I think will just be like so bomb. So I'm excited for whatever that looks like when she arrives.
Yeah. Mm, so bomb. What a way to
Does like
end.
everybody cry on the podcast, girl? We wouldn't be doing the things if we weren't also like feeling the feelings and like moving them and doing all of that.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah. Yeah.
have
Yeah.
have to, yes.
Right. It's a rare occasion that nobody cries in
Right, yeah.
Valkyrie's things.
It's a rare occasion. Nobody
Yeah.
cries.
Amazing. Totally bomb. Yeah.
Mm.
I can't complete any better way than that. That was perfect. Thank you, Elaine.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is always a blast, and
Yeah.
I'm super excited to be at Valkyrie 6. We start next week, the week after. It's coming soon.
Next week. Yeah, we start
Great.
a week from tomorrow, October 8th.
Perfect. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. There are this, I said this on last podcast, and I'm gonna keep fucking plugging it because the momentum is enormous. But there's something different coming through this round. It's like it has that let's fucking go energy in it. It has
Yeah.
this like this
Mm-hmm.
takeoff, this heat, this fire, that hasn't been here before. And I like cannot wait to see where it takes us. We're also
Mm-hmm.
gonna do, oh my
So
God, I haven't
excited.
said this out loud yet. We're gonna do a whole
Mm.
month in wealth energetics.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let's
So,
go. Awesome. Thank you for having me, my love. This is awesome.
yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. And for all of you that are listening that are in the let's fucking go energy, let's fucking go. We go in a week and a day, and you know where to find us.
Mm.
Okay. Oh, my love.
Awesome.
Thanks, Elaine.